Okay, well, hi everyone, and let's talk about Chapter 9 in ADMG 374, which is all about Project Human Resource Management. Now, what is human resource management? It is a knowledge area in the PMI, and it involves making the most effective use of the people who are involved with the project. Now, our processes, of course, according to the PMI, the processes involved in human resource management include planning human resource management, and that is always our first process in all of the knowledge areas. It's all about planning. We're talking about identifying and documenting project roles, responsibilities, and reporting relationships. And it's important for us to know who is going to do what on the project, who is responsible for what, and what those reporting relationships are. For example, we find on projects that we are project managers, but nobody ever reports to us. No, we typically are not managers. Now that, every once in a while we are, but for the most part, we are not managers. So no one really reports to us. So when we need to get people to do work for us, we need to know who to contact. We need to understand those reporting relationships and how they will be able to work to our benefit. We also work on acquiring our project team, which is all about getting the right people for the job when we need them. We need to develop our project team, which is all about building individual and group skills. And then we need to manage our project team, which is about tracking team member performance, motivating team members, making sure they get timely feedback, resolving issues and conflicts, and then coordinating changes. Well, one of the things that I can tell you is we do the most work on our project during the executing phase of the project. And aside from project performance reporting, which tends to take up a lot of our time as we are executing, we typically are involved in reporting project performance, and project performance can really eat into a good amount of time. But I will say that the most important thing that we probably have to do is manage the people who are working on our project, and that oftentimes involves putting out fires, resolving issues, and managing conflicts, oftentimes conflicts with other people. Keys to managing people. Now, there are a lot of psychologists and management theorists out there, and many of you have probably taken a number of management and leadership type classes, and you've learned a lot of this, and you've probably seen a lot of what is in Chapter 9 in other classes on how to manage people at work. Well, the areas that you want to focus on that are very specific to project management or very beneficial to project management are things like motivation theories, influence and power theories, and then effectiveness theories. So what you need to know in this chapter is there are two ways we look at people in project management. We look at people as people, and that involves our motivation factors, ways we influence people in positive and negative ways, our listening skills, and as we're going to be exploring in the class, the Covey's 7 habits theories. So we are concerned about people as people. And then the second part is people as project resources, which become the components of our human resource plan, which include things like a RAM and a RACI chart, responsibility matrix, and charts, the RACI chart, which is who is responsible, who is accountable, who needs to be consulted, who needs to be informed. Resource assignment, resource loading, resource leveling, that it all goes back into our work breakdown structure, where we use human resources in our plan, in our work breakdown structures, our project plans as resources, right? We use humans as resources, and we need to assign these resources to tasks. We need to make sure that we're not over assigning a resource, where we level and we load. Techniques, leveling and loading, and then techniques for developing our project team. So how do we, what do we think of when we think of human resources for our particular project? Do you have any human resources outside of the project team that have been assigned to tasks in your project? Probably not. I'm going to bet that you probably don't have anyone outside of the team. Now, maybe you've set tasks to go interview people, and maybe you actually created a resource of somebody that you're going to go interview. Well, probably not somebody who is a part of your project or part of your project team. Just somebody you need to consult, a stakeholder, for example. And we typically do not create stakeholders as resources and assign them to tasks. Okay, so that's something to consider. So for your project, most of your human resources are probably within your project team. Now, how are you going to manage these resources? Now, for the class purposes, well, it's not as hard because you're all working to the same goal, a grade in the class. But I want you to stop and think about managing human resources outside of this class environment, and think about how difficult and how challenging it is to get you all together to meet in your teams at the same time. Think about how difficult it is to assign work or to follow up on work, to make sure that everybody's gotten everything done. Imagine if you had, you've got 4 to 6 people on your team. Well, imagine if you had 40 people on your team and you had to, and all of these people were assigned tasks that needed to be done, and you needed to follow up with them, you needed to meet with them, you needed to have conversations. So imagine, if you will, what it would be like to manage a project with a bunch of human resources, and just even some of the challenges that you're experiencing in your own teams, how that would be multiplied in much larger projects. All right, so if you have any questions, of course, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I look forward to working with you through this module.